It's almost not fully conscious, I think. I think it's so deeply ingrained within me, object making and storytelling, that I'm just doing what I do. I'm just doing what I am. I started as a writer, as a poet. The visual art seemed just kind of like writing in another language, and then it stuck. I still write, and still publish, but I realized that I had different things that can manifest in different ways. I always feel like there's a narrative underlying most of my pieces, even if it is obscure, maybe it's not readily apparent, but that's the structure, kind of, or the armature that I build the compositions on. It guides me. It might have dream logic, it might be counterintuitive, but it's persuasive enough, at least to me personally, that I see the through line and I know, where I want to go. And as it's become more diverse in terms of the materials I use and the genres that I cover, because I work not only just like in 2 and 3D assemblage and collage or painting, but also, in film and production and sound sculpture. That's across genres, is this kind of feeling that is really sustaining and guiding that I'm making a narrative.
It's so interesting because he does so many different kinds of things. I first was aware of Chris as an artist with his songwriting, and then he also let me know that he was writing a lot of poems and essays, and only later did I come to understand that his main thing was visual art. And then I began to see some of the stuff that was hanging in his living room and in his kitchen, and he told me it was his own stuff, and I was really blown away. It has an improvisational quality in that he is working whatever is at hand, whatever the sounds are, so to speak, whatever the pieces are that he's got in front of him, and then he's honing in on, let's say, the sort of template of a human face or a human form of some kind as sort of a loose structure that he's going to be referencing as he brings these things together, just like a jazz musician would have an idea of the melody kind of floating around in their head as they assemble these chords and sounds and progressions. I was once talking to Chris about his music, and he said that when I do my music, I have one foot, it's all Alabama, he said, it's all Alabama, one foot in Hank Williams, the other foot in Sun Ra. And I thought, man, those two names have never been used in the same sense, much less to define what you're doing. And I think that that's kind of how he lives his life. It's kind of, he's got one foot in Hank Williams and the other foot in Sun Ra, and it's all Alabama.
Alabama was really, really special as an artist and as a whole person. Not only gave me a great launch pad for writing and art, but also, in terms of nurturing an artist so that I could have the support to pursue a lot of different things that were really compelling to me, including travel. When my dad was at University of Kentucky working on his master's, there was a big subculture of Sikhs from Punjab, India, who were interested in human values and art and film and stuff like that. And so my parents friended them, and they would gift me with, things that they had from when they had lived in India. It became really important to me one day to go there. So I was making a trip to India, and a friend of mine who had married the Australian ambassador to Cambodia said, "You're going to be so close." It's not that close. She said, "You're going to be so close, you should just pop on over." I got to Phnom Penh, and it was so powerful if you consider like the things that the Cambodians had been through in terms of the genocide. And Phnom Penh was a sleepy little town at this time in 1996. I remember they were farming roosters and pigs at the main post office out in front. But it was a really, really sweet place. And I had been in India for a couple months. Cambodia was such a good place to kind of decompress after India. And I felt like that the Cambodian people had a beautiful spirit, and with a little bit of a twisted sense of humor, kind of inherent in their national persona, perhaps. It was really, really a compelling place. And I met an emerging Cambodian artist, and we started collaborating. So that was the first of 17 trips to Cambodia, and a culmination of maybe 2 years of my life there. My dad was, a therapist and a visionary administrator for corrections, and my mom was an artist. So I feel like it just came right on down the pipe. I've been working with different nonprofits for a lot of years. I worked in public education in Fairhope, Alabama. But even before that, I had worked with different nonprofits in Birmingham. And then when I moved back to Birmingham, I was either artist in residence or art director at Studio by the Tracks. And then now I've been here almost 10 years working with at-risk, formerly homeless young people. In total, it's been over 25 years that I've been working with different nonprofits and or in public education. The pay wasn't really great, but I felt good about the work, and I felt like that was my kind of calling. And the thing is it's not that I was helping them in terms of when I've worked with like at-risk kids or homeless kids, they help me too. So that's a two-way thing. I mean, the stories that I've gained access to and the people whose lives have brushed against mine, that's invaluable.
He's kind of a Renaissance man. He's got his hands in so many different ways of working and thinking visually and verbally. And he's just a dynamo. He's just a force field. He never stops.
I think if I can keep embracing change, that I'll consider that it's been a pretty good ride.